Welcome to Career Explorer Northwest Live. My name is Tina Swanek, and I'm the Career Explorer Northwest educator producer for KSPS PBS Public Television in Spokane, Washington. Career Explorer Northwest Live is an interactive Zoom event that connects students or other young people with professionals to learn about careers and career paths. And today we'll be learning about careers in the automotive service industry with the help of two special guests, Thomas Sheffer and Dylan Kopsick of Silver Star Automotive in Spokane Valley. And I'll go ahead and put them on the screen so you can see Thomas and Dylan. There they are. Dylan is in the office and Thomas is out in the shop. Silver Star Automotive was established in 2000, and it's a locally owned business that provides expert services for European cars while proudly catering to all makes and models. Thomas is an automotive technician as well as shop foreman for Silver Star, and Dylan is the company's shop manager representing the business side of the industry. So welcome to both Thomas and Dylan. Thank you so much for being here today. And we'll hear a little bit more from them later about their career journey and educational journeys in the industry.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you. It's an
Thank
honor.
you for being here. Okay, and we also have two schools with us today. I'll bring them up on the screen. We have Liberty High School on the left-hand side of the screen with their counselor, Jennifer McKenna. And then on the right side of the screen, we have students from Shadle Park High School with their instructor, Jordan Russell, go Shadle, and assistant principal, Ryan Huff. And thank you all for being here today. Before we get started, I just want to quickly share the agenda for today's event. We are first going to hear from Thomas and Dylan, who'll give us a quick overview of their education and career journeys. And then we'll open the floor to questions from our student guests from Liberty and Shadle Park High School. And we won't be taking any questions through the chat today, and instead we're engaging in this live conversation, live discussion. Okay, so let's get started with our event. Again, welcome, Thomas. We'll start with you. Will you please tell us a little bit about your work as an automotive technician and your career journey?
So I always kind of knew I wanted to be a tech as a kid. Spent most of my life working on cars. I went to University Technical Institute in Norwood, Massachusetts. I graduated from their automotive, diesel, industrial, and Ford FACT program. I started my career at a dealership, at a BMW dealership. I knew that I always wanted to be a Highline technician. I liked working on stuff that was fast and cool and expensive and all the cool stuff. Kind of hovered between BMW, Audi, Porsche, Mercedes. I have some Italian experience as well with Maserati and Alfa Romeo. I've also spent probably 4 or 5 years at Independence. So I've seen both sides of that spectrum from the dealership point of view as well as the independent point of view. And now I'm back here at Silver Star Automotive. I'm the shop foreman here as one of the technicians. Basically help the guys with any harder problems they have, try and help keep the shop flowing, just try and make everything easier. Yeah, kind of it's a fun job. It's a really fun job. It's a fun career.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Quick question on clarification. Does Highline mean high end?
Yeah, in the industry, Highline would be like I'd hate to put like a price tag on it, but yeah, your premium brands. Specifically Germans. I do prefer German engineering over either the domestics or the Asian market. And yeah, I like the stuff that draws everybody's attention. That's what's fun to work on for me.
Okay, great. Thank you for clarifying that for our audience. Dylan, welcome again.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about your career journey, which has been a little bit different on the business side of the industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So, always been in the cars. Grew up in the car kind of culture here in Spokane. Ended up going to WSU and then transferring to Eastern to get a business degree. I actually got a undergrad in finance and marketing, and then a minor in economics. So totally different than the car world. But while I was going to Eastern, I worked out at Mercedes. Scott, our owner, he was the service manager there, so he hired me to wash cars and take care of the shop and stuff, and basically just do grunt work and work my way up, and eventually found my way to becoming a service advisor. That was right when I graduated from Eastern. It was during COVID, so obviously a very strange time to learn a new industry, but ended up falling in love with it. Love helping people. Love being able to learn about, kind of like what Thomas said, the Highline cars, and Mercedes was always just so fascinating. The cars, the way they're engineered, the safety, obviously very fun, fast cars too. So ended up becoming a service advisor and did that for about a year, and then left there, had a little interim, and then ended up coming here just over a year ago. So I'm one of the writers, as well as kind of like the shop manager. So Thomas and I work pretty closely. He handles more of the technicians and the more technical side. I'm more on the customer front end and making sure that we stay busy with appointments, making sure parts are ordered properly, um, and educating our customers on what their car needs, not just telling them. That's something I think that sets us aside from a lot of other independent shops.
Great. Thank you so much for that overview. And we're going to go to the question and answer portion of this session today, because that's really where we want our students to get the most benefit out of this event and have as much time as possible to ask questions, to get the career information they need to make decisions. So I'll go ahead and unmute Shadle and Liberty. And the way that we'll operate this Q&A session is basically when the students want to ask a question, whichever student is asking the question, if you could please just state your name, your first name only. And then if you could specify if your question is for Thomas or for Dylan, that would be really helpful. And we'll start with Liberty High School. What is your first question?
Hi, my name is Lily, and this question is for Thomas. My school offers a lot of agricultural things, and it offers small engines and welding. I was wondering if there was any classes you took in high school that really jump-started your career. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I did do a small engine class when I was in high school. At the time, ironically, I tried getting into our automotive program. We had a vocational center attached to our high school. I tried getting into the automotive program, and I was told I would not be a good fit. And yet here we are. Welding is a fantastic quality to have, especially given the ag side of things. And the small engine stuff, I mean, it all translates. Just because the engine's larger doesn't mean that the basic principles are still not the same. So grasping a good basic theory and understanding of how an engine works, even at the smallest level, will only help everything you move on, because they're all the same, just different sizes.
Hey, thank you. First question, Shadle Park.
I'm Trevor. And Thomas, what kind of education did you need to get to where you are right now?
UTI definitely helped. I kind of wish I had a good community college program available to me. I've seen the benefits of the community college side from visiting some of them and seeing some of the classes. It is definitely a much more cost-effective option. You definitely get out what you put in, especially at UTI. Their classes are fantastic, but if you go in just kind of wanting to skate through, you won't get a whole lot out of it. I went to school with some kids that had never touched a wrench before at all, and just started through the basic engine class at UTI and wanted to become a mechanic, and they're now successful technicians. So your starting point doesn't really hinder what education you want or how far you want to go. It's pretty much how much effort you want to put in. The classes, obviously, I came out with the automotive side, the diesel industrial side, and Ford Fact. I think when I graduated, I had like 150 certifications from Ford. So if you have a specific manufacturer or something specific you would like to do, even on the dealership side, the accreditations you get from a school like UTI definitely help jumpstart you, because you can, if you're a diehard Ford fan, you can take their Ford class and start out already rungs up on the ladder from a guy just out of the community college. So it really depends on where you would like to pursue your career, can kind of help determine what course you might want to go through for a school.
Thank you, Thomas. Next question from Liberty High School.
I'm Miss McKenna. Again, I'm asking a question on behalf of a student who's off camera. This is for Dylan. Can you tell us about one of the most challenging or frequent challenges that you face in your job?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the most challenging thing to overcome is matching the customer's communication type. In today's day and age, we have text, we have email, we have phone calls. I think that's the most challenging thing to overcome. And to add on to that is, for example, we get a lot of customers in the area that come in and they have a noise. Well, the biggest thing is making sure that you understand noises for them or what their customer concern is. So I think we do a really good job of addressing that, and making sure that you ask enough clarifying questions. Does it do it at this time? Does it do it more when it's cold, more when it's hot? So really, it just comes down to communication. And once you have that down, man, you're so set up for success.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, next question, Shadle High School.
My name is Corbin, and this question is for Thomas. What advancement opportunities exist in this career?
So you can pretty much get as high as you would like to go. If you are looking to stay on the technician side, and you can go as far as being like a field service engineer. It's all in kind of the sky's the limit. I won't really show there's a ceiling. It kind of depends on as high as you want to go. Obviously, certain manufacturers have different ceilings. And then there's different ceilings between the dealership and an independent. At an independent, you could obviously go as high as being a shop owner. You could take your skills that you learn from the shop that you're working at, and you might even be able to become owner of that particular shop. As far as the dealership side, you can go as being a foreman. You can become a service manager. You can become a general manager. There's tons of individuals who have started as a lot attendant or a car wash guy at a dealership and worked all the way up. I know Dylan started washing cars. I started washing cars when I started at BMW, knowing that I wanted to be a technician one day, and I was washing cars for $8 an hour, and while going to school, just to try and get my foot in the door because I knew that's where I wanted to be. Your advancement is all dependent on, I won't say all dependent on you, because obviously some places won't give you the opportunity, but if you find the right fit, this kind of thing.
Okay, thank you, Thomas. Next question from Shadle, and I'm sorry, from Liberty.
My name's Ethan. I was wondering, this is a question for Thomas. What company or dealership would you recommend trying to start out in? Or at least just trying, and what would probably be the best company to try and start with based on your experience?
Well, I'd say that's kind of a tricky question to answer, because it really depends on not only what's available to you, but kind of where you're at. Again, to kind of piggyback off the last question, you can start as a shop hand sweeping floors and still get through to a place of being a technician, being a foreman, being a service writer, being a shop manager. There's no wrong way. You're always going to learn something no matter where you're at. they are also very different worlds though. If you want to be a dealership technician, that is kind of the perks of that would kind of be you're always almost at the forefront of technology. You're always going to have the most up-to-date training, all the software, all the tooling, and no matter which brand it is, they're always going to be at the forefront of some technology. Whereas on the independent side, you will be a little behind. It does force you to kind of be a little bit better of a technician or a mechanic because you do have a little less resources at hand. A smaller shop or even a larger shop like we are still doesn't have the financial backing that a manufacturer has. In their case, almost the sky's the limit on what they'll buy and what they have available. I would say the biggest thing I would recommend is find a place that you enjoy and that you enjoy going to work at. Because that's, if you don't enjoy going to work, then it doesn't matter what you're doing if you don't have fun doing it. And make sure you have a team around you that you like, a boss that's good, and you'll always have hiccups along the way. But I guess that would be my recommendation: is find a place that you feel happy with, and then kind of just go from there. And take whatever they can give. Be a sponge and just learn from the people that you're going to be working with.
Okay, Shadle Park High School, next question.
Max. I have a question for Thomas. Can you get hired straight out of college in the basically just an auto shop?
Yeah. Obviously some of them will, your pay will change depending on what your experience is. You can definitely get hired straight out of college. You can get hired straight out of high school at an automotive shop. There are plenty of opportunities out there and plenty of shops that are looking for somebody that they can train, they can mold, they can put their time and energy into to build a good technician that fits for them. There's, like I said, there's definitely perks and pros and cons to both sides of it, dealership and independent. And that's whether you're on the agriculture side, the diesel side, the automotive side, they're all kind of the same across the board. Obviously the stuff you're working on is different, but there's still manufacturers, there's still customers, there's still parts. But you can, if you have a thing you want to try and a thing you want to work on, there's almost an abundance of jobs out there that you could get straight out of high school. And they would love to have you, because if you show the ability to want to learn, they're gonna just throw whatever they can at you as long as you can handle it.
Liberty High School, next question.
Hi, I'm Thorne, and this is a question for Thomas. What made you want to go into the mechanical industry?
From even as young as I can remember, I liked going fast, and I liked tinkering with toys, and whether it be, lawnmowers. I was doing pulley swaps on lawnmowers with my dad when I was like 10 to swap the pulleys around underneath to get the thing to do a wheelie in fifth gear. Like, I grew up with four-wheeling and snowmobiling and dirt bikes and cars, and I found that I learned well with my hands, and I liked understanding stuff. I liked taking it apart, figuring out how it worked, and putting it back together, and sometimes being able to put it back together better. The pride and the pleasure that you get out of being able to fix something, especially when other people can't, is really cool and really fun. It's cool to be able to have a car come in, whether it has come from a different shop or people having struggled with it, and being able to diagnose the problem, tear it apart, repair it or replace it, and fix it and give it back to a customer, and them being happy. There's a lot of fulfillment in it, and that's kind of what made it fun for me.
Shadle Park, next question.
My name's Braxton. This is the Thomas. What is the weirdest thing you saw?
Like ever or on a car, or just ever?
Like ever?
That's a good one. I'm gonna have to think about that and probably come back to you. That's a good one that I was not planning on having to answer today, so it's not something I had ready. I've seen a lot of weird stuff over the 12 years I've been doing this professionally. So I'll have to get back to you on that one, if that's okay.
Okay, we'll take another question from Liberty and then we'll circle back around maybe to that question.
Hello, my name is Ella and I have a question for Dylan. What new skills have you developed as a professional since taking this role?
Best new skills. I would say learning how to manage people. That's a big thing of being a service writer, and the term shop manager is pretty loosely used in the independent side. Usually like on a dealership side, you have a service manager, then you have service writers. In the independent realm, usually kind of your head writer is your service or shop manager. And Thomas and I kind of do both of that, of making sure the guys are taken care of. But I would say learning how to manage people's time, and it's more like playing chess than playing checkers. So you're planning out the day. If you have 15 cars coming in and you have 25 hours of work to get done, well, each technician is here anywhere between 8 and 9 hours a day. So we have 5 technicians. So really we have, what is that, 40 to 50 hours of work that we could get done in a day. So I guess that's the most fun and new skill I've learned. And it's a challenge, but you overcome it and you learn different ways. And you have to learn your team's haptics. Some technicians are going to be more efficient than others. So it's a matter of playing with that. And yeah, obviously you overcome things and you'll hit speed bumps, but you just got to take it slow and move forward. Great question.
For everyone's benefit, can you explain what a service writer does?
Oh, yes. So kind of from start to finish, customer calls in and they have a Mercedes. They say, hey, I'm such and such. I have this car. I need an oil change and I have a coolant leak going on. So say, hey, Mr. Customer, yep, we can do the oil change and diagnose the oil leak or coolant leak. It's going to be about this much to start. So when customer comes in, we make sure we get all of their contact info, that like going back to the communication, make sure you have a good phone number. I've had that happen before where you don't have a good phone number and you can't reach the customer anyway, but learning experiences, of course. And then basically getting all the info off the car, getting the mileage, getting the production date, the VIN, the license plate, noting if there's any like obvious dents or an odor or if there's a cracked windshield, stuff that's you want to make sure that the customer is aware of when it checks in. And then making sure that you put the parts on the repair order. So we put that it needs 9 quarts of oil, it needs a specific oil filter. And the nice thing is in this day and age, everything's computerized. So we basically put everything into a computer. It tells us it needs X, Y, Z, and we put that on the repair order. And then from there, you dispatch it to a technician, say, hey, Mr. Customer came in for an oil change and a coolant leak. Do those 2 things and figure out where the coolant leak's coming from. And then we do a courtesy safety inspection. So from there, once the technician finds, let's say, the coolant leak, he reports back to the writer and says, hey, this is what I did. This is how I found it. This is what we need to start with replacing. And then from there, something that's a little different from a dealership to a independent side. In a dealership, you got a quote from the parts department on the parts. The technician generally looked up the repair time, and then the service advisor would put those all together and say, hey, it's going to be X amount of labor, Y amount of parts. This is how long it's going to take. So at an independent shop, we do all of that. So we look up how much labor it's going to take, find certain parts. And this is where we lean on Thomas pretty heavily because he has been an advisor and a technician. So we say, hey, we're doing an intake manifold on 85 Mercedes. What do you have to pull off to get to this. So that's where we kind of lean together and say, okay, not only do we need this, but we have to take these two parts off. There's gaskets. We're going to replace those gaskets. And then say, hey, Mr. Customer, it's going to be $1,000. Do you want to get this done? And they say yes or no, and then you go from there.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
For that explanation. Shadle Park.
My name is Brennan. What is the best way to earn a job?
Best way to earn like a starting gauge, like just best
Yeah.
way to get into a shop. There's gonna be, and it kind of will depend a little bit on your skill set. There are a lot of ways that you can get in, just as especially at like a dealership. Your best way is probably going to be a lot attendant. It's going to be somebody who parks cars, maybe greets the customer. Depending on the dealership will depend on kind of your level of responsibility. I started off as a lot attendant, and we checked in the cars when customers dropped them off. Like Dylan was saying, we would do the walk around with the customer to note out damage or anything like that. We would walk them to the service writer. We would check their car and we'd go park it in the lot and then hang the keys up in a key box. We also were in charge of washing all the cars. We were in charge of keeping the loaner car fleet, filled up with gas and that thing was going and ready to go. We had a lot of responsibilities, but it was a great way to get your foot in the door because you're always you're there. And anytime somebody needed help, you jumped at the opportunity to go help it, especially if it was in the shop, even if it's just a second set of hands, to help clean up, to help this stuff like that gets noticed. The amount of effort and drive that you have will get noticed and it will get rewarded. And that's kind of at an independent, we don't necessarily have a lot of attendance. You might have a kind of assistant that might help the writers and or the techs, maybe it'll be called a shop hand, somebody that sweeps the floor, takes the trashes out, kind of gives all the guys a hand or girls a hand when needed, and it's just kind of there to help make sure everything's flowing smoothly. Either one of those are probably going to be the best way to get your foot in the door, and then just kind of go from there.
Thomas, would you like to circle back to the weirdest thing?
Yeah. So the most recent thing I can think of is we had a customer come in. She had her car towed in because it wouldn't start, and she said it shut off when she went through a puddle. Upon kind of looking at the car, and we tried starting the car, we had to jump start it because the battery was dead, and it clearly was cranking with something wrong. You could audibly tell that there was something wrong with the car. Upon further talking to the customer, and this was at a point, I should say, where I was still a writer and kind of the shop foreman. This was before Dylan's time here. And so I was talking with the customer about tell me more about this puddle that you drove through. Like, because thinking about where the intake is in the car and all this stuff, like they're all up high. There's not a chance of a puddle really making the car not run. And so she's explaining to me that she doesn't understand how it happened. It's not that much water, but that the water came over the hood of the car. And so kind of find out that it's not really a puddle, it was more like a lake. And needless to say, the car sucked up water while it was running. It hydrolocked the motor and bent one of the rods. And so that cylinder was low on compression, and that's why the car wouldn't start. So again, kind of went back to kind of what Dylan was saying of from a writer standpoint, and even at a tech standpoint, because we only get the information that the writer gets. You can be told one thing and it might be something completely different. For some interesting reasons, customers have a hard time just kind of telling the whole story, probably from embarrassment or wanting to not be judged. It is much easier for both jobs, writer or as tech, when we just get the whole story. We won't judge you. We won't pop down on you, it really makes our job easier. And this was just one of those. It's funny when the claimed it was a puddle and it was more like an open. So
Never a dull moment.
never a dull moment.
Hey, Liberty High School.
My name's Jesse, and my question's for Dylan. What was your biggest investment, personal, financial, or business-wise, that put you where you are today?
This is a great question. I'd say financially, putting myself through school. So I paid my whole way through school, through college. I was fortunate enough to live at home with my parents. So for all you that want to move out at 18, if you're going to school, obviously everyone's story is different, but if you can save money and live at home while going to school and have a job while doing so, man, it's such a financial hack. It's so much better. But so I put myself through school. I think that really set myself up for where I am today with understanding the finances of a business, which I'm still learning more and more every day. The markups that we have for selling parts and making sure that we have the right amount of efficiency to be a successful business, and still keep customers coming back and satisfied day after day. In terms of the biggest investment is time. I think taking the time to learn more about the industry, like Thomas was saying, when I was a lot attendant, every time a technician needed help or we were slower in the shop and all of my other stuff was done, I'd stand there and help a technician or learn how stuff worked because it's so valuable. And I'm glad that I did that because as an advisor, you're up at a desk most of the day. The benefit of being an independent shop is we have a very open shop, so I can go out and see, oh, well, this is what's damaged on the car, or hey, this car looks really good. This customer is doing what they should be doing. Financially, are you looking for like a number? I don't know if that really answers your question.
No, I'm just like talking about like investments, like the money you put into your job and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, going through like, so I did 1 year at WSU and then 3 years at Eastern, but total invested, I'm probably, I'd say somewhere in the $40,000 to $50,000 range for my education. Now, it's different than a technical school like what Thomas went to, but I think it's so worth it. If I could go back and change it, I wouldn't, because I am where I am today. I am much more for trade schools because of the success that you can have in the trade industry. I have a lot of friends that went and got very fancy, expensive pieces of paper, as I say, that are $250,000, and they are not working in what they studied. So for me, it's all about what's your return on investment. Working in this industry, you can absolutely set yourself up to make a very comfortable living and have a lot of fun toys and have fun while doing so.
I think we probably have time for maybe one more question from each school. So Shadle Park, what is your next question?
Hey, I'm Arthur, and I have a question for Dylan. From your position, are you able to actually work on the cars yourself, or are you strictly office?
So the way so I should say, going back to the dealership, as a rider, you are expected to be at your desk, answering phones, talking to customers, writing up repair orders. It's kind of frowned upon for you to be working on the cars because that's what the technicians are supposed to be doing. Now, in an independent shop, it's similar, but we are a very open shop, and each independent shop is different. Sometimes they're just up in an office. The way ours is set up, we're a little more industrial. So where myself and Kendall, our other service writer, are, we're basically almost in the shop. So we can see everything that's going on, all the noises, but we are not expected to work on the cars. Now, if a customer comes in and says, hey, I got a light bulb burnt out, all the technicians are busy, which they're more than happy to help. If I can alleviate something for them by putting a light bulb in or topping off their washer fluid, we are more than happy to do that.
I think our last question, I believe, is Liberty High School.
Hey, my name is Soren, and I wanted to know if you guys are any of you guys are available for any apprenticeships or something like that. Because I want to work.
So I actually spoke with Scott, the owner, before we got on here. We are very open to job shadow or apprenticeship or anything like that. As far as a job shadow opportunity goes, and this applies to both schools. All that we need is a permission slip pretty much from the school saying that you're allowed to kind of come here and be here. That's the only real red tape that we have to worry about. Other than that, if you guys want to come out and see the shop, talk to us, whether it's on your own time or from a permission slip point of view, we're always open. Like Dylan said, we are an open shop, which is a little different from a lot of shops, independent or dealership. We have nothing's hidden. We're very transparent and we're very open. If you want to come in and talk to us, obviously just, kind of pop in and ask first. Don't just walk in. But we'll never say no. If you want to come hang out and you want to come down during a school day and just hang out with us, that's fine. We're open 7:30 to 5:30 on Monday through Thursday and 7:30 to noon on Friday. We got a great boss that lets us off at noon on Fridays, so we get a 2.5-day weekend. But yeah, you're always welcome to come down. As far as if it's during the school day or from the school, we just need a permission slip saying you're allowed to be here. And that's just to cover incidents. So.
Okay, great. I think we're nearing the end of today's event. So I will toss this question to both Thomas and Dylan. Is there anything that you feel the students need to know about careers in the automotive service industry that maybe hasn't been covered today in the Q&A portion of our event? And I'll start with Thomas.
All I would say is that, again, the bigger programs are amazing. We will get a lot out of them. As far as Dylan mentioned, he was $40,000 to $50,000 in on his side. I was closer to the $60,000 to $70,000 range. I was not able to stay at home though, but I came out with a huge leg up on a lot of people, given the certification and experience that I had from UTI and their relationships that they've built with manufacturers. I know Spokane Community College has a partnership with Toyota. Toyota is a fantastic company to work for. Honda's a fantastic company to work for. I have a bunch of friends who are techs for them. Just because they're not the coolest cars does not mean you will not enjoy working on them and make a ton of money. There are opportunities everywhere. You can very much do a community school program or not at all and just start as a shop hand and work your way up and become an owner. That's Scott's story, the owner of Silver Star. He started at a tire shop and worked his way up for there. He had no formal training. And now he's a successful shop owner. He's a successful service manager for 15 years. It is possible. There's multiple paths to success. So I would just say to keep that in mind, that there's no one way to do it.
Dylan, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, kind of going off of what Thomas said. Don't think that you have to go and get some sort of certification or degree to get that job. You can work your way up. It will take some time, but biggest piece of advice I have if you are going into a trade such as the automotive is be curious. I think that's the biggest thing moving forward for this next generation that Thomas, myself, Scott, all the rest of our employees has talked about is this next generation has to be curious to explore different things. And going into this education, be educated on the basics. don't have the mentality of, oh, I only want to work on supercars or I only want to work on high-end cars. If you take the basics, it's going to apply to almost anything. So being curious and not just doing what's asked of you, going a little bit above and beyond and asking those questions. There's a saying that says, there's no stupid questions, just questions unasked. So that's my little piece of advice going into that portion of education.
All right. Thank you so much.
Can I piggyback off Dylan real quick?
You can.
So just, you brought up a good point. One thing I saw a lot when I was at the Maserati in Portland, we had a lot of guys that would come in as lot attendants, and they're all they would see is these supercars, and they just instantly went to, you know, oh, well, I can't wait to drive that, or I can't wait to work on it, or I can't wait to, you know, be experienced in this. And that stuff is cool. I mean, I've worked on Ferraris, I've worked on Lamborghinis, I've worked on Aston Martins, I've worked on Bentleys. You won't start off in a shop and just instantly jump to that point. I guess I would say stay humble, and also try not to compare yourself to others that you're working with or others in the shop. I had a really hard time with that. Just remember that you guys have a long career ahead of you, whatever career you choose. And there's a long path, and it will be rewarding, it will be successful, but it will take time. And to just keep that in mind.
Okay, thank you so much. To both Thomas and Dylan, thank you for being here today and taking time out of your busy schedules to share with our students your path to your career success, some different education options, your daily work, and especially, I think, some of your customer service advice, which I think is really valuable and such a huge part of the automotive service industry. So thank you for being here today. We really appreciate it. And thanks once more to Jennifer McKenna and the students of Liberty High School, and Jordan Russell, Ryland Huff, and the students from Shadle Park High School for being here and participating in today's event. We hope you found this event to be very interesting, informative, and that what you learned might help you to make the decision if a career in the automotive service industry is right for you.